So now we want to go over to the Revit file and the Dynamo itself and just tell it to quickly draw the pipes, and then we'll just check it from there. Now the drawing itself may not be that accurate, but it's adequate enough for a quick check. So one of the important points that actually can help us in this part is if you pay attention here in the AutoCAD file, you don't actually pay attention to the distance between these layers. So if you pay attention to this case right here, we have a three-way branch and then another one right over here. Surely the distance between these branches doesn't actually allow for this situation to happen. So either this one has to come up higher. As an example, this one could be moved down here, or this one goes up there. Because without these changes, this type of branch just isn't possible. And other issues like this. For example, right here, we have an issue in this branch. So in order to do this in the Dynamo, we need to go over to the Insert tab, then click on the Extract Data tool, and on the window that pops up, click Next, and then we go over to the destination that we already have in mind. So to the beam course folder, and then the mechanical. Right here in the Review CAD Files folder, I'll create a new one and name it Review and save it right here. Then we click Next. Alright, and then Next once again. And in the category bar, we'll uncheck all of the options except for the geometry itself. So over here, we need the coordination of XYZ. Then we'll click Next, then check the output box here. And an Excel file is going to be generated as our output. So we give the destination to it, which for us is over here in the beam course and Iran beam folder, mechanical, then files, and right here. Then next, and then finish. So we have an Excel file on our hands. We'll open it right here, and right in the file here you can see the rows and all of the coordinations of all of the layers and the lines. I'll get a save as from this in the current directory, but I'll change the format to Excel. And the name of this file itself is summary. So I'll copy it, so we'll have it saved to the clipboard. And then I'll close it. And then we go back to the Dynamo and the Revit file. So in the Revit file, we'll go to the Manage tab and open up the Dynamo tool. So right here, I'll click on the New option, and let's save this file up to this point as well. So back out of this folder and this one as well, and let's see where we should save this one. In the Beam Course folder, we'll open up the File Samples and the Metric folder, and then we'll save the project right here. And I'll name it M-13-01-99, and then I'll put the maximum number of backups on 10, and then OK and save. Alright, so now we'll go over here in the folders and the Review CAD Files folder itself and open up the Excel file that we just generated. Alright. And then after that, when it's opened up, we can see the rows that we have in the Excel folder A, B, C, D, and we can see in the groups which one will need the X, Y, and Z, and the X, Y, and Z on the right. So we'll need the rows that go from G to M. And if we actually take a look at the Revit file, we can go over here in the East Plumbing view and see the height of this level that we'll need, and it's 4100. We'll just have to wait for the command to load up, and then we'll see in the plan the height is 4100. So we can assume that our mechanics are going to be around 60 centimeters below this level. So we'll go to the Excel file, and in the column that we have the NZ, we can put in the number that we want, which is about 4100 minus 600, which means we'll have to put in 3.5, and then double click on the column itself so that it'll apply to the rest of the column as well. Alright, and then for the M column, we'll do the same for the start Z, and then double click on the column itself to put in the 3.5. Then save the file and close it. Now in the Dynamo file, first we can right click here and type in file path, and then when I'm done with that, I can open up the file path app and then browse through it to find the destination where we have the file saved in. So we'll go over here in the beam course and then the mechanical folder, open up the files folder and select the file that we've created here in the Excel format. Alright, then click open, and then we right click in the Dynamo file again and type in file from path. Then open this up and connect it to the file path app. Alright, then down here I'll put it on manual so it doesn't crash. And then we'll right click once again and type in import Excel. Then connect it to the string by the file. And the sheet name itself is actually talking about what we had previously, which I think was named summary in the Excel file. Now you can change the name yourself, but I'll go with summary, and then so copy it and then right click once again in the Dynamo and look for string. Then paste the summary in the string and connect it to the sheet name. Then we have the option that says read a string, so I'll create a bool here and put it on false and connect it to the read as strings option. The next option is show Excel, which of course you know what it's talking about, so I'll open up another bool and put it on false and connect it to this. Then I'll hit run. So if the bool is set on false, it doesn't show the Excel file, but if it's set on true, it opens up the Excel and it shows you the file. Now we can go over here and right click and open up the list.deconstructs app and connect it to the data imports by list and run options. Then hit run, so it automatically put the list that we have first in the first list and then the rest of it in the list results. So from here on out, we'll just need the list results. So I'll go over here and using transpose, I'll connect the result from the list to the transpose. Now what this does, it is separates the columns and the rows. So here you can see we have the 0 for the list itself, and if I actually open up the Excel file, because we're actually using the Excel file in the background, we should get a read only warning. We just have to wait for the command to load up, and there we go. In the Excel file, you can see in the rows, we always start from 0 and then 1 and the rest. So the first one in the row is going to be 0. And so we go back to the Dynamo, and in the list itself, in the transpose, you can see we have the 0 and then 1 and then 2 and 3. And we actually need the number 2, 3, 4, 5, but we will need the number 6. Now, in order to get the results from these, we can search for get item at index. And if you actually look at the Excel file, the columns that we'll need are the number 6, 7, and 8. Then we won't need the 9th, but we'll need the 10th and the 11th and the 12th. Alright, so we go back to the Dynamo and create 3 of these index apps because we'll need them. Then Ctrl L and then right click and put the align selection on left so that we can set all of these together. And then from the transpose, we'll link it from the list category to the list in the first index. And then from the list in the transpose to the rest of them as well. Then create a code block and type in 6, 7, and 8 with semicolons in between them, and then connect them to the index. Now if I run this, we can get the Z and the numbers right here. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V over here for all of these, and then replace the numbers with 10, 11, and 12. Hit run again, and then right click and search for point by coordinates.